Welcome to my first YouTube video. Today, I would like to talk to you about our experience so far with my son's 55-gallon tropical aquarium that we set up about 4 months ago. This was an upgrade from a 10-gallon, and we have had good success with this tank except for the last 2 weeks. When we originally set up the tank, the plants we started with included alternanthera, dwarf baby tears, anubias, an Amazon sword, a red flame Amazon sword, some microswords, 2 different types of crypts, some java fern, dwarf sagittaria, and vallisneria. We have been fertilizing the tank, and the plants were doing very well except for the alternanthera, which is slowly dying off. The microswords have short roots and are frequently stirred up, and they float on the surface. The dwarf baby tears have already died off. All other plants were growing well and filling out, and up until a couple of weeks ago, we were counting up to 14 new shoots of vallisneria every week. About the second month in the 55-gallon tank, we had a green algae issue, but this issue coincided with 2 changes. First, we upgraded the lighting from a half watt per gallon to 2 watts per gallon. The second issue was that the nitrate water test results were higher than previous weeks, and after the algae cleared up. During the period of high nitrates, the ammonia and nitrite levels were low and good. To clear up that issue, we added a timer to regulate the number of hours the plants had light, and we realized we had been overfeeding the fish. About 2 weeks ago, we started seeing black hair algae, and we could not find any relationship with the water tests we had performed. From researching forums on the internet, it seems we had probably not changed the water often enough, and we were probably overfeeding and over-fertilizing the tank. In terms of fertilizing, we are using 3 products from the Sea-Chems family of liquid fertilizers, using the recommended dosages. Flourish is their general purpose fertilizer, and we are dosing every 3 to 4 days. Flourish Iron is used every day or every other day, depending on the weekly iron water test results. Flourish Excel is used every day. To address the algae issue, we changed about a gallon of water and eliminated the fertilizers for a week. In hindsight, only 1 gallon from 55 was not enough. Within a couple of days, my water tests for iron were down to 0 parts per million, so I was confident the nutrients were being sucked out of the water. But the treatment had the opposite effect. The black hair algae spread rapidly, and it was all over many of the plants. In doing a bit more research on the internet, I discovered people were talking about using Sea-Chems Excel to eliminate black hair algae. Some recommended doubling or tripling the daily dosage until the algae disappeared. Some recommended spot treatments. It did make sense to me that if the black hair algae quickly became a problem after stopping the use of Excel for a week, resumption of the product was likely to restore the tank to the previous condition. It is important to note that Sea-Chem does not promote or sell this product to control algae. I do not see on the Sea-Chem website where they make any exceptions that would allow for exceeding their recommended dosage. I recognized that if I double dosed the tank to speed things up, it was not with Sea-Chem's blessing, and I was on my own. Now, since there was a water change and the tank had not been fertilized in a week, I started off with Sea-Chem's recommended startup dosage. From that startup dosage, I put a couple of capfuls of Excel into a container, and I added about a cup of water from the tank. I then took some crypts from an area that was becoming congested and they were being covered with black hair algae, and I soaked them in a mixture for about 10 minutes before returning the plants and the treated water back into the tank. Over the next 3 days, I used a double dose of Excel and the algae started to turn red, then lighten in color. On the 4th day, the algae was clearly turning white, but all my vallisneria was dying off. In doing some additional research, it appears that vallisneria is sensitive to Excel and can die off at recommended dosages. I removed all plants from the tank, and we used scissors to cut back the vallisneria leaves to where the healthy leaf appeared. I gathered many netfuls of dead vallisneria leaves along the bottom, and I had to unclog my filter intake from vallisneria debris. We then performed a 50% water change, vacuuming off a lot of debris from the bottom of the tank. It has been a couple of days now since the water change and resumption of my previous fertilizing regimen using Sea-Chem's recommended dosage. The black hair algae is hard to find in the tank now, and the Java fern that were heavily clogged appear to be clear. The crypts that I gave a 10-minute soaking in an Excel concentrate appeared to have survived well, but the black hair algae did not appear to disappear any faster compared to the rest of the tank. It is now the 5th day after stopping the double dosing and the 50% water change. The Balasinaria definitely took a beating with this experience, and we continued to see die-off even after 24 hours after the water change. All plants now, including the Balasinaria, are showing signs of new growth. On the Balasinaria specifically, many of the buds that formed prior to treatment are still dormant, but a few have started forming new leaves. I am also seeing some pointed tip leaves where none existed before. This has been a learning experience for us, and I hope you have found this video to be helpful. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and good luck with your aquarium.